Most commercials tell you the same thing. They're always blabbing about buy this, go here, eat that, or some experts on there trying to convince you of the next big thing. Although that's great and all, this isn't one of those commercials. Here in Shelby County, we let it speak for itself. Discover Shelby. Find your trail.
And welcome back into Alabaster as we remain here on the Lowe's Warrior Game Day Show, presented by Wayne Davis Construction, powered by JP Builders, as we are getting ready for yet another high-profile matchup here in the Thompson Warriors 2024 football season, which leads us to remind you that in sports, every point counts. And at Alpha Insurance, they know when it comes to your budget, every dollar counts. That's why they work to get you the lowest rates and best discounts available. Make sure to call Alpha Agent Dustin Ellison at 205-668-6928. That's 668-6928. It's 70 degrees right now here on the campus of Thompson High School. The atmosphere here tonight is already electric as the Warriors are happy to be back at home, and there's a lot of football to discuss tonight with our Warrior Nation Network crew. John, this Clay-Chalkville program is one that has gone through a lot of change from year to year. You've detailed some of that. Help detail the brand of football that we expect to see on the actual field of play up close and personal tonight.
So it doesn't matter whether it's Stuart Floyd now, whether it's Drew Gilmer before, whether it's Jerry Hood before that, and Stuart Floyd back when he was playing quarterback when they won their first state championship. The brand of football has always been fast. It's always been, we're going to just basically out-athlete you. We're going to try to have the best players on the field who can make the biggest plays. And that's the way it's been. I mean, you go back to when, like, Ty Pigram was the quarterback, and they had Nico Collins, who's having a great NFL career now. The talent they've sent on, like DJ Dale on defense to Alabama, they have had incredible talent throughout the years, and that is what has led them to, A, winning state championships, B, winning big games like they did last year. But a lot of that talent is gone. We mentioned Jalen Mbakwe is gone. They had an incredible offensive line with a lot of recruits that are gone. And Drew Gilmer is gone. But Stuart Floyd was under him. Obviously, he knows Clay-Chalkville. It's his school. So you can go and find a lot of schools that have gone back to find people, like Robert Evans is another example, that, they've brought people in that know that program, that are coming in to have that kind of championship pedigree. So despite the changes, they're still the same team. They're still Clay-Chalkville. Don't think, because Jalen Mbakwe has moved on, they're not as good. No, they still are. Because Drew Gilmer's not there or Jerry Hood's not there, they're not as good. No, they still are. So that's something to definitely keep in mind because they haven't been tested, but there's a reason they've run over every team they've played.
All right, you just had an assistant run behind you here, a very young fan of the Warriors, making their debut here on the Warrior Nation Network. John, who are some of the key Thompson players outside of the quarterback position that you'll have your eyes on tonight, as a lot of these young athletes are ready to try and notch another win and make a name for themselves within this program?
Yeah, look, I think, we know the names on this defense like Anquan Fagans and Jared Smith, but Trent Cheatham, I thought, had a pretty good game last week, and he had a really bad roughing the passer call they called on him, but I thought it was great pursuit. I think he did a really good job pursuing the quarterback, and this is always a team that has had a very athletic quarterback that somebody has to keep an eye on and somebody has to pursue. That's somebody I've enjoyed watching all season who I feel like doesn't get the name recognition that a lot of other people do. On offense, we've always said Michael Dujon, but I'm kind of looking at both running backs, Dujon and R.J. Evans. I think we're starting to see, I'm not going to call it a thunder and lightning, Lindell Wright, Reggie Bush type thing, but Dujon is a little bit more with the middle. R.J. Evans is a little more around the outside with kind of that speed, and it's become a really good kind of two-headed attack. It doesn't need to be. It's not like, one's going to be a third down back like you see in the NFL, but it just because Dujon gets tired on a drive because he's been running like crazy and you pull him out, you're not really going to skip a beat. R.J. Evans, I think, has really come into himself, so that's a player I'm really looking forward to keeping an eye on tonight.
I'm just glad weather-wise we're not expecting any thunder or lightning this evening because you never know with the weather slate that we've had throughout the course of this season. Matthew, I love watching quarterback Trent Seaborn leading this Thompson Warriors offense. What do you think has been the biggest strength you've seen so far from Trent specifically throughout this season?
Poise. Very easy question. As I went back and watched this week, it's poise. And when you think about it, we're talking about a 15-year-old. My wife and I have a 15-year-old. And
a veteran sophomore.
How about it? I see 15-year-old behavior on a day-to-day basis, and I watch Trent, and he is just so poised. He's rarely here I've never seen him here. He's a very steadying influence. He leads that team very well. He is calm in that huddle. He is calm when he talks to his team. That has to feel really good for especially some of these newer players as they get into that game, to see him there, to see him calm and just out leading that team. Poise is the word that I would use.
John, it's a perfect blend of game manager, which often is used in a negative connotation, and playmaker.
I hate when people use game manager as a negative term because you look at a lot of successful quarterbacks in college and even the pros. Look at somebody like a Brock Purdy. He's a game manager, but you know what? They're playing for Super Bowls. I mean, you can't discredit quarterbacks like that just because they're more of a game manager, not a playmaker, like some players like a Lamar Jackson might be. You know what? The 49ers have been more successful ultimately than the Ravens have been because he's a guy that can help lead that team with a lot of good weapons around him. People look at Trent's stats last week, and that's the kind of thing where it's like, well, the stats weren't necessarily great. A, it didn't need to be because Dujon was running all over the place, and B, it didn't need to be because the defense was scoring a bunch of points. But, he still comes out and leads that offense. He's still ultimately the field general out there. And you can say, well, the stats maybe aren't there like they have been in some games in the past. It doesn't matter. What's on the scoreboard? What's happening with that offense as a whole? They're still putting points on the board.
John, Clay-Chalkville has not been scored on since the 29th of August. It's going on a full month here. Does that streak end tonight?
I would imagine that streak ends tonight. The teams that didn't score against them, once again, Pell City, not great. Shades Valley, not great. Ramsey, Hueytown both put up 7. So that also wasn't great from those two teams. But we mentioned it. They have not been tested yet. This is by far the best offense they have faced. It is by far the best offense they will face this season because even the teams I mentioned, Mountain Brook, Vestavia, they're more of a physical team. We saw Vestavia last week, obviously. You're just not going to face an offense like this. You're not going to face a rushing attack like this. You're probably not going to face a quarterback that's as smart as Trent is. And once again, he's only a sophomore. And you're probably going to face a lot of senior quarterbacks this year. You're just not going to face a team like you are tonight.
And coming off of an off week, Matthew, there's no doubt that Clay-Chalkville has had Thompson in their sights not only all off season long, but also over the past couple of weeks. That has been their primary focus. And will that be a strength, or will there be more of a rust over rest type situation? We're going to have to find out tonight.
Yeah, that's going to play out on the field. Certainly it gives your team an opportunity to get healthy if you've got anybody there. One thing that I do kind of want to mention, not going to mention names, but there is a little bit of sickness going on in the Thompson locker room. We had a couple of guys that went and got checked out this morning, a couple of starters. So we're going to have to keep an eye on that. How does that affect our team? Clay-Chalkville, on the other hand, they've had a chance. If they have anybody like that, unless they came down with it today, they probably come in a little bit healthier. However, we had a fourth quarter last week where I don't think we had to play our starters hardly at all. And so we've had a chance to get healthy as well. But that will certainly be something that we'll keep an eye on. I have to think that Coach Floyd likes the opportunity to get healthy, but you get tired of hitting one another.
John, do you have any eligibility yet left? We could possibly put a jersey on you and get you out there. We need as much help as we can get, it seems, tonight with that report out of the locker room.
Oh, the offensive line's been playing pretty good. They're probably better than I was back in my prime, much less now.
We are proud to call Thompson home, and if you're looking for a great round of golf or a new club to call home, then look no further than Timberline Golf Club of Calera, an award-winning course at a reasonable price. Timberline offers something for every golfer. Timberline is also home to a state-of-the-art TrackMan driving range. Call or visit them online at timberlinegc.com and book your tee time today. Let's now check in with head coach Mark Freeman, who's getting his team ready to take the field yet again following another successful road win 1 week ago. As we now hear from the leader of the Thompson Warriors on the Lowe's Warrior Game Day Show, presented by Wayne Davis Construction, powered by JP Builders.
We got a region win, and all those things go in a box or a jar or whatever, and you need to have a bunch of them in there so that you can make the playoffs. And the biggest key here is approach week to week the game at hand and win enough that at the end of the season we got a chance to go to the playoffs. So I'm after a few days, I'm as thankful as I was that night for the win. But I just think that, when you get 34, 35 snaps in a game, I just don't think you're going to win a lot of them. We're young, and until we find some leaders on the football team that can go in and be leaders and say, hey, this ain't how we do things here, or whatever. But, I think that's my job, is to know the temperature of my team, and they know I care about them. But at the same time, they know that our standard is a certain level, and when we don't meet that standard, I'm not going to be happy. And so happiness and loving them is two different things. It's a week 5, and we want to win the game, and it's the most important. It's like we want to win this as bad as we want to win any region game. Our desire is to win it, but at the same time, it's kind of a relief to know we can try some things that we have been wanting to try, but in region games, it's just not the time to take undue chances. We threw the ball only 8 times last week. There was a lot of times when we got the ball, we had to play defense on offense. Our guys were tired. They was on the field a long time. And I think good football teams and good coaching staffs, we all work together to, when they're getting 3 and out, we're pretty good. I think we're over, I told them the other day, I think we're over 60% on drive scores after 3 and outs. So I think it's just a motivational or a momentum thing that when we get off the field, we do pretty good on offense. But last week, the situation was we needed to run the football, which we averaged about 9 yards a carry, had 260, 70 yards of offense. So really production-wise, we were really good. I was really pleased we were running the football that night. I just felt like we needed more snaps.
Full Moon Barbecue is proud to be a corporate sponsor of Thompson High School. Since 2006, Full Moon Barbecue's Alabaster location has been a proud supporter of the athletics, academics, and the entire community. From church to schools to special events, they do it all. You can always trust Full Moon Barbecue to give you the best quality food and service. Come in or call Full Moon Barbecue today for the best barbecue in town.
Welcome back in. We are winding down the hour and getting closer to kickoff here at Warrior Stadium. It's not too late to make your way out here to see Thompson in this big-time matchup firsthand. If you can't make it, however, be sure to check out our coverage at warriornationnetwork.org or on the NFHS network. But first, a reminder, is it about time for a home or office carpet cleaning? Maybe you're looking for a deep carpet clean or just a simple refresh. Look no further than Steamworks, a proud sponsor of Thompson Athletics. Fast and reliable with no hidden fees or upsells. All cleanings include pre-spray, deodorizer, and fast and reliable and affordable service. Call Steamworks at 205-365-1908. That's 365-1908 and refresh those carpets today. John, minus Clay-Chalkville and Thompson, give me the 5 most intriguing matchups in Alabama high school football this week, starting with number 5.
This is the kind of week, with college football the last couple of weeks, I feel like people have been like, it's such a slow week. It's not a great week. If you want a good week of football, tonight is a great night of football when it comes to games around the area. I think James Clemens and Spain Park at number 5. Spain Park, they're a team that, by all metrics, they've been a top 5 or 6 team in the state, regardless of classification. If they were a 7A Region 3 team still, they would be competing, I think, for the region title this year. That's how much improved I think they are. They're unbeaten right now. They're taking on James Clemens. James Clemens is a team that will likely win Region 4 this year. That's at least the way they're trending, and they have been the top team there. They're playing this week, and it should be a good matchup there. Number 4, Saraland taking on Montgomery Catholic. Montgomery Catholic has moved up to 5A. They've dominated 4A. They've won state championships in 4A, and competitive balance, and, of course, the private school modifier. They've moved up to Class 5A. They're dominating 5A. I think they have a good chance to win even a 5A championship. This could be the first team we've seen jump 2 classes when it comes to competitive balance once it's all said and done. But Saraland, they're a team who in Class 6A has been incredible, obviously. They still have KJ Lacey, even though Ryan Williams has moved on. Did you know he's only 17 years old and playing for Alabama? Saraland's still really good. Number 3, my alma mater, Homewood. They're kind of like Clay-Chalkville. They have run over 5 teams this year, but they're 5 teams that aren't very good. This is the first real test. They take on Mountain Brook, a team that will compete against Clay-Chalkville for the Region 6 championship this year. Definitely the 2 best teams in that region. Mountain Brook has lost to Oxford by 1 point. They lost to Parker by a score. Homewood hadn't really played anybody, so it's kind of a good measuring stick, even though it's a 3-2 versus a 5-0. They're both in the top 10 in the ASWA poll. My number 2 would have been Moody and Auburn. That game got canceled because of the hurricane. As we're starting to even feel a sprinkle here, it's starting to rain. But Moody and Auburn would have been my number 2 because that was going to be a very good matchup. I'll give Jake Gannis credit and the athletic director and all at Moody credit. They scheduled a heck of a non-region schedule. Sadly, we won't see them against Auburn. They've lost both their games, but they played really good opponents in Oxford and Gainesville. But anyway, my number 2 instead, Hoover and Parker. Parker, arguably the top team. I think they're number 1 in the ASWA poll ahead of Clay-Chalkville. Arguably the best team in Class 6A. They're taking on Hoover, who has actually been pretty good this year overall, despite everything that happened in the offseason as bad as they were last year. But my number one matchup, I can't wait to see how this plays out. I hate we didn't get to see, once again, because of a hurricane last year, Thompson and IMG Academy. That game got canceled. This year, Central Phoenix City taking on IMG Academy this week. That should be a good matchup there. Obviously, IMG, one of the top 5 teams in the country every year because they bring in who they want to come play for that team. Whether you think it's fair, unfair, or not, it's good to see teams like Hoover, Central, Auburn. They've all played IMG. We almost saw it last year with Thompson if it wasn't for weather as well. But Central and IMG Academy, that's a game that, could be a good one.
All right, John, very well done. Matthew, what do you feel like makes tonight's game such an intriguing one?
I think it's a defending state champion coming in undefeated. I think it's our team having played for a state championship, and we're 1 point away in an overtime from being undefeated. I think it's speed for Clay-Chalkville, and I think it is a solid team for Thompson.
Absolutely. With it being homecoming week, we wanted to do something very special here on the broadcast, and we'd like to now bring in Leighton Moyer. Your dad is kind of a big deal around here. I'm not sure if you're aware of that. How does it feel to have your father as the voice of the Thompson Warriors?
I'm very glad that he got to get this job. I never got to see him do his experience on ESPN, and I'm very grateful that I get to see him now. Thompson has blessed our family really, really well. And now that I get to see him, if I ever do some stuff in the future for Thompson, I get to have some tips that I get to remember, and I'm very glad that he gets to get this job.
Well, you're getting an up-close and personal experience here at the desk. When you're away from the stadium, what's your favorite thing that you and your dad do together?
We love to watch history, the History Channel. We love watching movies, love doing basketball.
That's awesome.
Love talking basketball.
Okay. I know you're a Star Wars guy, too, and that makes me happy.
Yes.
Most important question of them all, who wins tonight's game? Is it Thompson or is it Clay-Chalkville?
In my opinion, Thompson. I think they will do a great job tonight, and I feel like God has his hands and the team, and as well as the coaches. If they go in with a great attitude, then I think they could pull the win. It just depends on how they come out after the second half.
Well, very well stated. You have a lot to be proud of here, Matthew, but I would say I think the wardrobe gave the pick away a little bit here. I mean, there's a chance that maybe I knew where he was going there with that
Corso with the headgear.
Maybe so. That's going to do it here for the Lowe's Warrior Game Day Show presented by Wayne Davis Construction, powered by JP Builders. Join us now, WarriorNationNetwork.org or on the NFHS network for tonight's broadcast as we see your Warriors once again take the field. Goodbye, everybody.